Welcome back to Rodenberg Rocks' basement, where his tumbler sits as far away from the sleeping quarters as possible. Let's move on and see what stage 2 has in store for us. Wow, is this thing ever sealed down there tight? Hold on. Man, was that ever sealed down good. Took me a good few minutes. Off the lid here. Oh yeah, look at that slurry. This is our small rocks that we did to start. This is the first stage. I just have a little homemade bucket here. It's just a 5-gallon bucket from Home Depot mixed with a colander. And the reason I do that is you don't want to dump this grit down the drain. Once it solidifies at the bottom, it kind of makes a harder material, and you don't want that in your pipe. I use my barrel to wash it. Looks like we still have a little bit of grit on there, which I've gotten feedback that using a ton of small rocks makes it hard for all the grit to get utilized. As you can see, the bottom, we still got a good amount. And these even ran for 10 or 12 days. So kind of maybe something I should learn is to mix in some different sizes. So I'm gonna rinse these ones off and then we'll open up the next batch. Okay, next one we're gonna take off the bigger rocks. This is the one I'm curious to see because I've never done much experience with the bigger rocks. Like I said, it's always been those little rocks. That one, the little rocks, I've had better luck with all of the grit being used and the slurry being completely utilized. That one had a little bit grit left. Like I said before, I think from hearing from a couple other kind of people that utilize rock tumblers, having no space for those rocks to tumble in makes it hard for the slurry to be completely grit free. So, and I don't know if you got to add ceramic tiles to stage 1. I've only heard of using that in stages 3 and 4. That can make a difference, but we're gonna open up these bigger rocks and we'll see how they smoothed out. See if we can get this one off right away. They're so stuck on there. Pausing it again. Literally like a second later. So this is the big rocks. So we'll see how these ones turned out. That's not good. Yeah, that slurry's a lot better. I dropped the lid face down on the carpet, so 1 second. All right, now that we're back from that, luckily the stain came out, so that's nice. I'm just gonna wash these off. Get a bigger bucket instead. Kind of make it easier with washing these off. Remember, these are the stones that we got from our friends in Michigan, Maple and Rob at Michigan Rocks. Smaller batch. Got some unikite there though, I see. Got a couple cold water agates in there. Piece of puddingstone. And a few others. So we're gonna wash these up and then we're gonna get both of them upstairs. Show you a little bit what they look like tumbled out on the first stage. Show you our second stage and then get them back on for round 2. As you can see too, my bucket is pretty full of that sludge that comes from the grit. Typically when it's filled up, I know there's multiple ways of disposing it. I've been told it's just fine to safely dig a spot, pour it in, and just rebury it. So that's typically what I will do. I know some people have some built-in places in their yard or kind of in the woods with a hole pretty deep that they will dump it in, but typically I'll just do a small hole each time. As you can see, compared to our first video, look at the amount of size that these rocks lost. Like I said, they're in there for about 10 days. I know I got a message from Rob saying these are a bit softer and they do not need to be in the polisher or in the tumbler as long. And after seeing that, I forgot about them again. So I hope I did not ruin some of the stones in here, because there's a lot gone. So we're gonna pull them out and see if we can show you a little bit of details of both batches. So I'm gonna start with the bigger ones first. So we have some Petoskey Stones in here, some Puddingstones. So honestly, it looked like it got polished up pretty nicely. You can see there's a little bit of gunk of the first grit in there. So what I will do is I will go through and I'll wash all those out to make sure that those don't get in there to scratch the stone. Let's see here. This is the one that I thought was Favicites. I know me and Rob have been talking back and forth to confirm if that's true or not. Still a really cool stone. Got a little bit of grit down there. I'm a little worried because I'm not seeing any Petoskey stones, and I'm really, really scared that I screwed up some of them because I'm not seeing their hexagonal pattern. This is some unikite. Yeah, that one looks really, really nice. That one's ready to go to the next stage, I think. Or even some of the cold water agates. That's cool. That might just be quartz. This one looks like it was a Petoskey stone. Looks like it's not anymore if that was it. Man, what did I do? That one looks like a fragment of a Petoskey stone that broke off. Oh, I'm bummed out. I'm glad I didn't put too many in there. There's a lot more. It turns out I gotta be a lot more careful with these rocks than I'm used to with agates, because agates are so much harder, so they don't tumble as fast. Wow, I got a lot of cleaning, but I'm not too worried about moving them to the next stage if there's any fracturing or stuff like that. I'm just gonna throw it in there and see what happens, more or less as an experiment, just because I've never experimented with these kind of rocks before. So I'm just gonna bundle them back in here and let's take a look at the smaller ones. Here's an actual pretty good looking fragment of one. Gosh, they're so cool. Rob, I'm bummed. I'm sorry that I kind of botched that on this first batch. So just gonna learn as I go. Maybe just gotta use them on a flat lap, or not trust my tumbling skills, or to be actually timely. So gotta live and learn. So next we got all the smaller guys. There's gonna be a lot of less detail to go through with some of these just because they're so little. Some of them break off. A lot of them I experienced don't break off. It's pretty cool. Cool agate. That one was already pretty rounded. I'm also tumbling a specific one for a friend that he found. It's his prized favorite agate, but super excited to see how this one turns out. It's already gorgeous. Love the shaping of it. I don't want to round them out too much, so I'm just going to keep it and just run it through the first phase once. Even though I know it'll probably do very little, but this one's just beautiful. But I mean, these ones are pretty straightforward. They round out pretty well. They're already pretty smooth when you find them. So I don't typically analyze them each one by one. like some of these other rocks might need to be analyzed more, because I could have probably figured out some of them were going to chip and fragment, versus these ones don't chip and fragment very much. So I'm just going to put these ones in the next stage, pull out any ones that are too small to maybe continue the process, and we'll go from there. So I'm going to load both these bad boys back up. So now I'm just going to move into stage 2. Use 120, 220 silicon carbide. I'm going to put about a scoop and a half each into those, as well as I'm going to put some ceramic tiles into the bigger rocks. Probably throw some in the pile too, just because there's not a lot of space, or there is a lot of space, excuse me, that's in this barrel specifically. So I'm going to experiment with that. And then I'll just try and fill some of the gaps in these small agates as well. Again, I think it's less important in the first and second stages to put in these ceramics, because I know a lot of it has to deal with scratching and just trying to preserve the polish a little bit more by taking some of the blows. So, but I'm just going to try it in the second stage here. So, load it up with some grit. Like I said, 1.5. Now I gotta order some more of this grit too. So I get all my grits off of Rock Shed. They do a really, really great job of either buying each individual grit in bulk, or you can buy like all 4 stages in one package just to try it out. So all right, I'm gonna go fill these up with water, and then we'll throw them back in the tumbler. Well, we got both of them sealed back up. We're gonna throw them right back on the tumbler. And I am gonna be very diligent this time about timing, especially for those big softer rocks. So throw those on for about 3, 4, 5 days. And the bigger rocks, I think I'm gonna, or sorry, not the bigger rocks, my little ones full of agates, I'll probably still keep on there for 7 to 10 days. So let's fire it up. I know I'm not perfect by any means when it comes to rock tumbling or the hobby by any means, so a lot of it's going to be learning for me too, going down these roads. I show you what I typically do. Sometimes it works out great, sometimes it doesn't. So again, Maple and Rob, thank you for the rocks. Sorry for not realizing how soft they are and paying attention to time on that. I'm still hoping to get some good shine on them by the end of the tumble process. So bear with me. Appreciate any constructive criticism, but we'll just continue on the journey together. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you at the next stage.